But you have to have believed in yourself a little bit too. Do you ever have to deal with?
I believe in myself to the umpteenth degree. Umpteenth degree.
Taylor Rooks is a sports journalist, viral sensation, and the leading lady of Bleacher Report's Take It There with Taylor Rooks. She interviews athletes like Trae Young, Chris Paul, Saquon Barkley, and Jimmy Butler, just to name a few. Taylor worked at Sportsnet New York and the Big Ten Network. But that's not all. She also started her own podcast, Time Out with Taylor Rooks. She's a busy girl, but she made time to chat with me today, and I thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
2 months after college, you had a job already. What was that like?
Stressful because I didn't have a job when I graduated. I didn't have a job when
Okay.
and I'm thinking I'm not gonna ever have a job. And what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
But the Big Ten Network called me and asked me to work for them 2 days before I was gonna move back home. So the timeline was wild. I learned so much from it. I love the Big Ten Network. I love all of the people there, and I'm just thankful. You know, when I look back on it, I think about Quentin Carter, who gave me the job, and I'm like, he took such a big chance on somebody who had never been on television really, and my whole life would be different if he didn't believe that I was able to come onto his network and do a good job. So I'm very thankful to everybody that is in that studio in Chicago.
But you have to have believed in yourself a little bit too. Do you ever have to deal with?
I believe in myself to the umpteenth degree. You know, like when he asked me to do the job, I was like, yes, I can do it. Even though I didn't know if I could do it, I was like, I can do it. I'll figure it out. But I've always been that way. I feel like every human should be that way. I think we're all living, and we can all do whatever it is that we want to do.
And what advice do you have for people who were kind of like you were when you graduated college in that like, oh God, what am I gonna do now type of space?
Yeah, I would say to just push through it. And I know that's very cliche and people always say things like that, but it's the truth. Like, as long as you keep working, the opportunity will come, but it's only gonna come when it comes. And the stressing is not gonna help you or your mental, and you can't control it, but what you can control is the work you do and who you send it to and who sees it. Those are all things that are in your power, and you have the power to create really good content. And when good content exists, people will find it, people will watch it, people will see it. But everybody feels discouraged. Every journalist, every person, whoever that you look up to has had the time where they were like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. You know, I really was like, no one is giving me a job. I had sent emails to hundreds of people and barely got responses. So just know that like, it will come, and everybody has that moment where they're a little down, a little like doubting themselves a bit, but you just have to push through that.
What in your career happened after the Big Ten Network?
So after the Big Ten Network, I kind of felt like I wanted to do more. Like, I didn't just want to host, I wanted to like anchor, and I wanted to give lots of opinions, and I wanted to interview regularly. And New York wanted me to come, SNY, which is called Sportsnet New York. But I just knew I wanted to have a bit of a bigger voice. And so I came to New York and I did that. And then after SNY, Bleacher Report wanted to give me a show. So that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, how did that come about?
Yeah, so it was honestly all because of the podcast. Starting that podcast at SNY was the best thing that I ever did, because I think it showed the power of conversation, the power of good, organic, loose conversation. I always say to people, like, start a podcast, start a good podcast, and it can always turn into other things.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about all the amazing people you've been able to interview?
Yeah, you know, I feel so blessed and so fortunate. Honestly, that's the thing that makes me the happiest about the jobs, people that I get to interview. And what people don't understand is somebody agreeing to be interviewed that's a very special thing, right? They're giving you your time, or giving you their time. They are saying, I trust you enough with this story. I trust you to do a good job with this story. So I feel very indebted to those that let me interview them. You know, I think about people like Saquon Barkley and Kevin Durant, or two people that are very good friends of mine. I've known Kevin for 10 years. And for him to do the interview, it's a very, very special thing. that you trust someone in that way. Same with Saquon. I've interviewed him so many times. He's probably sick of me. I think of Damian Lillard, who was on season 1. I met him at one of my good friends' weddings, and he has always been very good to me in this business. Jimmy Butler did the podcast and also did my show. I'm trying to think of some other people. Chris Paul, I worked with him with some stuff with HBCUs. There's also the people that you really don't know that well and decide to take this leap and do the show. Like DeMar DeRozan, for example, I think was one of the best interviews I did, and I didn't know DeMar at all.
And how do you, in such a short time, make them feel comfortable enough to open up and share some really intimate stories?
You know, I legitimately do not know the answer to that. You know, I don't know. I think if I really had to break it down, I would say it's a couple things. I try to be incredibly transparent and authentic and real, because I don't think it's fair of me to ask that of other people if I don't do it myself. And I think that anybody who has done an interview with me knows that they can ask me whatever and I'll answer, because I'm asking you whatever. I also think with a lot of these guys, I have known that our careers have almost arced together. So we feel very familiar. You know, like I've known Jason Tatum since he was 15. I covered his recruitment. I saw Saquon become an NFL player. I've known Victor Oladipo since he was a freshman in college. Like all of these things, so we feel very familiar. And I think what ends up happening is we see each other as peers, and you feel like you can open up to somebody who understands you, and the questions that they're asking you aren't coming from a place of judgment. It's just coming from a place of curiosity. I think that people also inherently trust women more. I think that it's easier to talk to somebody that looks like you.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I want people to know me as somebody who saw the humanity in everybody. A lot of the people that I end up interviewing are people have already made up in their minds who the person is, because they've seen them on the field or the court, or they've seen an interview or a clip and they feel like they know them. And when you feel like you know somebody before ever having a conversation with them, you forget that they're human just like you. And I want all the work that I do to bring that human base out of everybody and show the viewer that there really is no difference between you and them except for what they do for their job. And how important it is for us to see that, because I think it would change the way that we talk about people and also change the way that we treat people. So that's what I want my legacy to be, that humanity is paramount, and there's so many things that make us the same and not that many things that make us different.
How will you know that you've made it, or do you feel like you already have?
I don't think I'll ever feel like I made it. I think that's one thing that I struggle with in general, not the making it thing, because in all honesty, I feel like I probably couldn't care less if I've made it. I think that I want to just feel content. And an issue that I have is always thinking that there's more or better, and always looking forward to that next thing and thinking I have to get to that next thing to feel content or fulfilled, and that's not the truth. You got to learn to be super happy with where you are at in the moment. But yeah, I want to feel content, and that's when I think I'll be happy. Who knows? Maybe I won't feel fully content until I have like my job together and I'm married and I have my family and I feel like life has come full circle and it's wrapped up. I don't know. But I think it'll take years. I think it takes people a long time to feel fully there and totally fulfilled. And that's why I'm trying my best to be okay with where I'm at in the moment. And I'm a person who I think is already naturally happy, and I tend to be super full of joy. So I'm good, but I want to feel contentment is very important to me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. That's really relatable. I think everyone has that want to feel like at the same time that you're reaching your full potential, while at the same time being happy in this moment.
Yeah, for sure. That's the goal.
You're making amazing things, and I really think you are showing the humanity in everyone. I think that's awesome.
Sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I had a good time.